Hey, what's up guys, welcome to my humble YouTube channel where I bring you fanfiction that will brighten your days. Before we start, a subscribe is greatly appreciated, and don't forget to leave a like and ring the bell icon so you won't miss exciting new fanfiction stories. A Return to School, Tensura x COTE, by Asuryii. Chapter 8. What's so interesting about most clubs? Class at ANHS, despite my expectations, passes by quite quickly. It could have been due to the fact that today the club fair that is going on today. I won't however go as far as to say class is enjoyable by any means at the current moment. Having already learned and been taught all the material the school has to teach leaves me desiring more stimulation. Frankly, I am left twiddling my thumbs as I pretend to take care in my classwork and the various subjects we learn. Splitting my mind and leaving my attention elsewhere to entertain myself is a menial and simple task. Truthfully, had I not had a means of entertainment in the form of seal, I likely would have opted for playing the act of a moronic student who fell headlong into the sweet words of the false reality this school envelopes its students in. I may have even decided to become a Class D student, though likely no matter how I performed on my entrance exams and in the interview I would have been a Class A student. Alas, if I was a Class D student, without seal, likely I would have given no care to the class's future, even despite my understanding of the system, as frankly, my entertainment comes first. My class ranking, my classmates, those in my year or above, and the facility all mean little to me. I would be satisfied at any ranking, and in any year, if that meant I would be able to entertain myself. My future is secure. I have zero need to bother caring for the 100% employment rate that ANHS boasts. I say 100% like I don't obviously know the harsh truth that such a thing is only available to those who remain as Class A students. My seniors, the subtle hints sprinkled around the school, the words of our teachers, and the clear structuring of this school all point to such a conclusion. Free items, monthly allowances, the high amount of missing senior students, the grim faces of upper year Class Ds and Cs, the hidden meanings in the words of teachers, the suspicious promises, and more than all of this, the clearly hierarchical class structuring. Small details are laid bare throughout the campus and its facilities. One has to be an idiot or downright oblivious to fail to realize the truth from the hints surrounding the students. All minor details one may overlook if alone, but put together gives a clear understanding that things are not to be taken as they seem. Bringggg. It seems class for the day has finally come to an end. It was quite boring, but I suppose the start is always slow. Just as all things are, the further you go along the more things ramp up. Sadly, the totality of all that is taught here will all be work I have already completed. But such is the way things have turned out. I doubt even if we could give tasks to our classmates that Kyo would even bother to give me a thought-provoking query. His peaceful life. Which I suspect that desire to be more of a ruse than anything, but that small thought will prevent him from making such clear actions in anything. Hey, Rimuru. Looking towards the direction of the voice, I looked to my seat partner curiously as she beckoned for my attention. It was odd, I don't know why, but when I turned towards her the smell of alcohol filled my nose, but beyond that I could smell a hint of vanilla. Odd combination, but I won't judge. Nodding, I acknowledged that I gave her my attention. I had an idea of what she would say. That thought mattered little, as the vast multitude and number of responses and things she could say made conversation such an enjoyable endeavor. Having an idea of what the other party intends to say, and hearing them say what they wish to say, are two wholly separate ideas. The act of engaging in a conversation leads to many different avenues, and these avenues create an untold number of possible futures and possibilities. The nigh infinite directions a conversation could take in the futures they can create all leave an undying and fervently enjoyable experience. Of course, some topics and points of conversation can directly alter and change the level of enjoyment a conversation can bring. But these extra factors make the idea of conversation and the act of conversing all the more interesting. I assumed Rimuru would be asking me about the club fair, but of course I only came to such a thought due to the importance of clubs to many people, the fact that the fair was today, and Rimuru was previously a member of the art club at her previous school. This last piece of information came to me courtesy of being a student council member. Not because I saw her art notebook. Totally not because of that. Why would you think such a thing? It really couldn't be the obvious. Okay. It was because I saw her art notebook peeking out of her bag. Moving on, I refocused my attention on Rimuru as I listened intently at the next thing she would say. Rimuru, wanna hit the club fair together? Komuro spoke in a neutral tone as she voiced the question I thought she would. It was an obvious line of questioning, but her partially tinted crimson cheeks and the forced calm face she wore was quite a sight to see. She felt a tinge of embarrassment asking me to go to the fair with her. I was highly aware she was asking me as a friend to join her, but still such a facial expression was a treat to be a witness to. I had taken her for a person with a slightly more haughty or confident nature, but this could also be due to embarrassment at coming to class slightly inebriated. I don't assume she is normally a coy person. I assume she is more confident. I don't know why else she'd smell like alcohol, but such a thing is of little concern to me. Sure, Komuro. I would be happy to join you on the task of perusing the club fair. I do find myself somewhat curious about a few clubs, and wonder what type of clubs this school has to offer. Shall we be off? Collecting my belongings, Komuro and I began heading for the door. Oddly enough, we walked out into the hall unbothered. I thought someone was going to get up and bother me, but this was a pleasant outcome. I didn't feel like dealing with anyone at the moment. Komuro and I engaged in a simple exchange of small talk, speaking on topics such as the lesson we just had, shared interests, and possible clubs that we hoped to see. I truthfully didn't care much for the club fair. I only agreed to join Komuro for a handful of reasons. I wanted to see the president's speech to open the fair, I wanted to see the art club, and I intended to find a club Kyo, Yuki, Shuru, and myself could join with little to no tasks. Sadly, Fuka isn't in any clubs. A club with her would be quite enjoyable. Maybe I'd drag her into the student council during her 3rd year. That's a good idea, Rimuru, but let's leave that plan for later, as I have another focus. I was going to drag Kyo into a club and he was blatantly made aware of this. You're going to join a club? No, not sparing a moment to think, he retorted, not bothering to look in my direction. As any reasonable brother would do, I forced him to look me dead in the eyes. His face displayed boredom and intrigue. I had a feeling he was trying to test me. You're going to join a club? No, motherfucker. Don't you look away after I forced you to look me in the eyes. This little shit. Ayanokoji Kiyotaka, I will make your life a living hell if you don't join a club. Try me. Now you look me in the eyes, Kyo. I can easily prevent you from getting Ice Cream Chan to be your friend again. I will not hesitate to make our brotherly relations like that of normal people. I'll pick an easy club. It'll help you make friends and experience a normal life. That is what you want, correct? Besides, if you're in a club with me, you can have an easy time getting to know people. One more push should do it, not that he cares. If anything, he's just satisfying his curiosities. I will treat you to Ice Cream Chan once a week. Irregardless of the inconvenience it brings me, and no blackmailing with the food. You've got a deal. If you also cook for me once a week, this brat. He just wanted free ice cream and free food. Damn it, I can respect that motivation. Free food with no traps is supreme. Asterisk, a few individuals sneezed after this thought came into existence. And I am willing to admit it, I am a goddamn amazing chef. If it was for Ciel's food, maybe Fuka. Not too sure on that one, but for Ciel I would do the same thing. 1000%, no questions asked. Unbeknownst to Rimuru, our dear Ciel had a few plans of her own she was working on. She decided that she too wanted to have some fun too, and that Rimuru should look forward to it. Deal. I let out a sigh, but inside I was smirking, as this was a small price to pay for more time to bother Kyo, but the direction he took this is respectable. I knew I couldn't convince him to join the student council, as it's too much work, brings too much attention, and he has more than likely zero interest in anything it offers. Something like tea ceremony, book club, or chess club would be things he'd be willing to join. I say willing loosely. He isn't willing to, as much as is actually being forced to. But who wants to sweat the details? Sadly, though, I know a book club doesn't exist. Maybe I should make one in my 3rd year. That could be a fun endeavor to undertake, but I will hold that thought for later, as it has little to do with the now. Along with my curiosities lying elsewhere, and Kyo being the greatest pain in the ass with his laziness. I swear I thought he would be more active and take risks when coming here, but what did he say to me? I just want a peaceful life at school. That bastard spews lies easier than he can breathe. I swear he must have lied once for every single breath he's taken. But at the same time, he's probably going to end up saying enough truths that are taken as lies to counteract that. So chaotic balance. I support this thought regardless. His laziness comes first in everything. And dealing with me is one of the last things he'd like to do. This isn't because he can't, more so as doesn't want to deal with the trouble. I am happy to say. I am a pain in the ass when I need to be. If I had to guess, the only reason he would come after me is 1 for boredom, 2 because he has no choice, or 3 because he's exhausted all other possible challenges. He'd rather waste as little energy as possible. I swear he's like Dino for that matter. It is understandable in many regards. Who wants to deal with someone who knows you as well as you know yourself, has abilities similar to yourself, and has full knowledge of your tendencies and strengths? Frankly, a battle between me and him, while being a fun task, is more bland than one would think. Dealing with people who are your absolute equal is always one of 2 ways. The first is both parties end up constantly preventing and being unable to make ground. In a sense, a stalemate. The second is just, whoever makes a mistake first or the person who fails to adapt to their opponent's growth. In the end it brings satisfaction, but not enough to constitute delving into such an endeavor over dealing with high quality and quantity opponents. I do however enjoy small skirmishes with Kyo. Those are enjoyable, more so that full-blown battle. The reasoning is that a skirmish can create a situation that builds more interesting encounters at a faster rate when compared to a full-blown battle. But if I had to choose, I honestly still would take the full-throttle encounters with Kyo. I do enjoy a good battle or rival, but in the end the small battle makes a large one more enjoyable. A small mistake in the smaller encounters can create a ripple that later will become a thorn in one's side during future encounters. So my overall preference would be to share small skirmishes with Kyo until our 3rd year, and then see who can win after all the thorns we each have stuck on the other side. But the future will come. Time will tell how Kyo and I go after one another. I certainly look forward to that moment though, whenever it may be. So Rimuru, what clubs are you interested in? My beautiful purple-haired companion gazed up slightly towards me curiously. She seemed to have some question she wished to ask aside from this one. I'm not particularly interested in any clubs at the moment. You can speak more casually, you know? The formal and overly polite professional speech is making me shiver. Rimuru faked a shiver as if to show her disapproval of my overly formal speech. Then as you said, I'll speak comfortably. Force of habit built up over years of being almost required formal speaking. But to answer your question, no, none have really interested me. But I still don't see a reason I shouldn't experience the fair myself. Who knows, maybe I'll find something interesting. Why do you? I was hoping to join the art club, but I read on the school forum that the art club may be closed. Rimuru had a downtrodden look on her face as she spoke. It was clear she wanted to join the art club, but this possibility of it being closed would prevent such a thing. Well, we can only hope that such a thing doesn't come to be. I wonder why the club is in this situation though. I hadn't looked at the school forum, but I figured Rimuru did her research since she seemed passionate about art. The senpai running the club, and the teacher heading the club quit supporting the club. Does it still have enough members to run going forward? It does, and I assume aside from myself more people are interested in this club. But the club needs a manager to deal with finances, getting approval for activities, and maintaining its current state, along with allowing it to accept more students. Yes. I could use this. It's always nice to have an alibi. I could easily manage a club, and by doing so I can gain more connections with classmates and get more interesting tasks. Adding more to my plate and things to do also serves to entertain Fuka and myself. I don't have to worry about studying, since after all I can almost guarantee that I won't have an issue with any question this school throws at me. Plus the more I interact with my classmates, the deeper involvement I can get in the various classes situations into the future. As if things are like I believe the more influence and connections I create the better. I could use Shuru, Yuki, and Ayanokoji to get closer to other classes, but that isn't as effective as doing it myself. I do want to get rid of Yahiko since he annoys me and brings nothing to the table, but more than that I may have to plan to get rid of Kushida. She could be a problem. Not a problem in the sense that her influence grows too large, but that she makes more issues for Kyo and Yuki. Of course the issues she causes could inadvertently support Kyo's goals. That is of little concern to me though. Taking a future card away from Kyo before he reins it in would certainly make things more interesting. I did already partially expose her personality to Class D, but considering how they acted before, they likely ignored it, and more than that, likely they assumed I didn't mean what I said in the context of her being two-faced, but just me having a prejudice towards actors. Smarter students may get what I said, And I know Kyo knew what I meant, but I have little hope in the department that her idiotic class understood what I said. But she certainly understood what I meant. If she comes after me for knowing, then I can get rid of her easier. Hey Rimuru, can you keep a secret? People are more likely to trust you if you're willing to share a secret with them without asking for anything. I could use this situation the art club is in to my advantage. Well, sure, but why do you ask? She looked confused, as it looked as if I was almost abruptly changing topics. This could be perceived as I didn't care for the situation the art club was in. In truth, I didn't. It closing doesn't affect me, but I do care that I have something to gain from this situation. I joined the student council, so I'll see if I can do anything in regards to the art club's situation. I make no promises, but I will see what I can do. Rimuru smiled in response to my words and simply nodded. A glimmer of hope filled her eyes at the possibility that the art club would continue. I can imagine you'd be a good manager considering your experience, and it'd be nice to interact more should you be able to take on that role. I'll see what I can do. Once again, I make no promises. No, it's fine. At least you offered to help. I just have to look forward hopefully. You have created a chat participants you, Horikita Manabu. You, hey Horikita Senpai, do you have a moment? 1620? Manabu. Yes, I have a moment. What's the occasion Rimuru? 1620. You, I will cut straight to the chase since I see no need to waste time since I am aware you're busy. 1620. Manabu, go ahead, I assume it's important. 1621 You, there is no rule stating a student council member cannot join other clubs, it is merely obligated. As such, I have 3 questions. 1. Have you been made aware of the art club's situation? And in regards to such a situation, may I take the role of managing the art club if it has yet to be resolved? Now for my 3rd question, would I be permitted to join another club while being a member of the student council? If that is impossible, I understand and will leave that topic behind. 1622. Manabu, you really are just as Kiryuan said. I have been made aware of the art club's situation. Typically a teacher would manage the club along with a designated advisor, but I assume you know their circumstances since you asked. I wouldn't be against allowing you to manage the art club as it will allow me to put my focus elsewhere, but I must ask why you desire to take such a task and what is your intent with the 3rd question. 1623. You, a friend of mine was interested in the art club, and I couldn't help but want to do what I can to prevent the closing of the art club, due to its sudden negative situation. Then as for my 3rd question, I simply have the desire to take part in as many school activities as possible and engage in various tasks with the different classes. I wouldn't be adverse to you administering me a test in order for you to agree to such requests. 1623. Manabu, I can permit you to manage the art club. I will contact the club president so they are made aware, but as for your request to partake in another club while being a student council member, I will need proof you can manage the load you will put on your shoulders first, along with needing to know the club you're intending to join. These factors will determine my answer. 1624. You, 200,000 points. I intend to join the tea ceremony club. I have no need to look at any clubs as they are not interesting to me. The only clubs that interest me are tea ceremony and chess club. Aside from that, none interest me. I would create a club, but I will hold off on such a grand task till my later years. I will maintain 100s on all tests and quizzes going forward. Should I fail to do so, you can punish me accordingly. Unless you have a better test, then by all means. 1625. Manabu, you're making interesting moves Rimuru. I almost have to ask myself a multitude of questions. I will agree to your terms Rimuru, but more than that. You must show me something interesting within the next month. Aside from that, you'll give a speech at the club fair today as a new student council member. 1625. You have transferred 200,000 private points to Horikita Manabu. Balance 1,025,450 private points, private. Full transaction record for S01T004666, Rimuru Nava, private. 200,000 private points have been added to your account. You have spent 12,500 private points at Quickie Mart convenience store. Balance 187,500 private points. Jun Hiroshi has sent you 500,000 private points. Shigemoto Taro has sent you 450,000 private points. Imatrina Tascam has sent you 513,000 private points. Balance 1,650,500 private points. You have transferred 40,000 private points to Sakurako Yuki, contract attached. You have transferred 45,000 private points to Shizuko Shuru, contract attached. You have transferred 153,000 private points to Koenji Rokusuke, contract attached. You have transferred 187,050 private points to Kiryuin Fuka, contract attached. Balance 1,225,450 private points. You have transferred 200,000 private points to Horikita Manabu, contract attached. Balance 1,025,450 private points. April 20XX transactions. It's a pleasure doing business with you, Horikita Senpai. I will prepare a short speech for the club fair. 1626. Manabu, I received word back from the art club president. He's glad to work with you and thanks you for taking on the task of manager and advisor. Also check your transactions. This was sent as a thank you transaction share link attached. 1627. You have been sent 400,000 private points by Shu Shiroi, attachment. I look forward to working with you, Nava-kun. Thank you for taking on this task, Shiroi. Odd. Well, I can use this. You have been sent 125,000 private points by ANHS admin, attachment. RE. Student Council monthly pay. Current pay for Secretary Rimuru Nava is 125,000 private points. Your balance. 1,550,450 private points. Manabu, you should have also received your monthly pay as a student council member. Your pay reflects your position and evaluation. Pay for student council is the second of each month. See you soon for the fair, Rimuru. 1628. I got it. See you soon, Horikita Senpai. 1628. I got approved, Kamuro. I will be the art club's advisor, manager. The club will not be closed. I gave Kamuro the good news and it seemed to have shifted her mood drastically as she now wore a vibrant smile on her face. Thanks, Rimuru. No need to thank me, Kamuro. We're friends. I smiled back at her as I waved off her words of thanks. If anything, she should have thanked the SCP. He approved it after all. Masumi. Just call me Masumi. It's odd that I call you by your first name and you don't call mine. Sure, Masumi. Well, I have to head in early for student council matters. Make sure you join the art club like you planned to. I'll try to meet up with you afterwards. Sounds good. I'll make sure to get in the art club. Talk later, Rimuru. Talk later, Masumi. Enjoy the fair. Excusing myself, I headed to the gymnasium so I could make sure everything was in order and understand when I was to give a speech. This was beginning to get a little exciting and I looked forward to the fair a bit more now. I still have to ask what's so interesting about most clubs. Sure, sports clubs are cool, but they're just boring to me, I suppose. It could be that being proficient at all the offered sports and there being no challenge is what ruins it for me, or that. Then as for crafts clubs, they certainly are interesting, don't get me wrong, but I prefer to do those things on my own time and unbothered. I suppose a difference in perspective is why some people are and aren't suited for various clubs. You have created a chat. Participants: Ayanokoji Kiyotaka, Kiyo, Lil Bro private chat. Join Tea Ceremony Club, 1630 Lil Bro, no, 1630. You want to irritate me? 1630 Lil Bro, I can't imagine you being irritated, but it seems to be a fascinating idea. 1632. I won't buy you ice cream, I won't treat you to meals, and you'll make Yuki along with Shuru disappointed. 1632. Lil Bro, wait, we don't have to go that far. 1632. Join the club. Remember our deal. 1632. Kiyo. Lil Bro, fine. 1635. For being a good brother I will reward you. 1635. Lil Bro, if it's from you I don't want it. 1636. Information? Food? Answers to your curiosities? A favor? I'm not a bad brother, what do you think of me as, a monster? 1636. Lil Bro, yes. 1637. 1637. Lil Bro, it was a joke. I'll take information and a favor. 1637. I'm on the student council, and you can cash your favor in later. 1638. Lil Bro, oh, not really surprised. I'll take that favor later gladly. 1638. Cool, talk later Kiyo. I have things to do, see ya. 1639. Lil Bro, see ya. Oh, see you later. Got it? 1639 I'm going to slap you for playing an idiot with me. 1639. Lil bro, can I refuse? 1640 Lil bro, Rimuru? 1642. Lil bro, I refuse to be slapped. 1644 Lil bro, a good brother wouldn't slap their brother for no reason. Rimuru. 1644. You, okay. 1645 Lil bro, don't scare me with your silence like that. 1645. You, okay. Don't pretend to be scared when you're clearly not. 1646. I swear he is a massive pain in the ass, especially with this weak and average person act. But I suppose fake it till you make it. I look forward to seeing the favor he asks me for, but I am dreading this speech, not that it's hard, but because I don't feel like giving a speech, again. Little did Rimuru know Kyo's first thought was a lifetime of free ice cream and meals. The masterpiece had fallen for the ultimate food trap, food with no strings attached. Walking into the gymnasium, I couldn't help but sigh. Many of my seniors were running around frantically back and forth as they all prepared to drag any fresh meat into their respective clubs. Truly a frightening war zone. Considering the fact that I was going to give a speech, I quickly headed over towards the main stage, where I saw a couple of my fellow student council members. One of them being the president, who immediately noticed my entry into the gym, and the other being Tachibana Akane. She was a secretary like myself. Well, I could also be considered the first-year rep, but we don't need to get into the details. Tachibana was about average height for a high school girl. She had light purple-colored hair which she wore in a pair of buns. It reminded me of Velgrund, but Tachibana didn't have long, or azure blue hair. It was an association made purely from me constituting that hairstyle twin buns to be hers. Along with her unique hair, somewhat unique, until you remember Kamuro has purple hair. Just, not the same shade and Shion did. But with her hair she has a pair of peach-brown colored eyes. They glisten slightly under the sunlight peering in through the windows of the gym. From what I can see, Tachibana wears a perpetual smile, and from Fuka's ramblings she appears to be stuck to the president's hip 24/7. I have yet to observe this myself, but if it's coming from Fuka then I wouldn't doubt it. She likely rates the president extremely highly, rightfully so, but I will come to see how far in the near future. Not that it would affect me in any way regardless. Her level of infatuation or respect towards the president is not my business. But I do know one thing. This is blatantly clear from how she carries herself and the small tidbits on information I have. She is very serious about her position as a secretary and takes a great deal of pride in it. I wouldn't be surprised if she held some reservations about me, but ultimately puts them aside due to her respect for the president. I do look forward to interacting with my fellow student council members, but I doubt it ever will be on a casual level. That, however, doesn't bother me. As is the president, despite being very professional, is also more casual. Then again, that could just be circumstantial. Tachibana, you two haven't been acquainted yet. This is Rimuru Nava. He has taken up the position of a secretary for the student council, along with essentially being seated as the current first year's representative. Stepping onto the stage, the president motioned towards me, turning Tachibana's attention towards me. It's great to meet you, Nava-kun. I'm Tachibana Akane. I heard a bit about you from the president aside from the information that was made aware of by the whole school. I hope you'll do your due diligence in your work, and not slack off. Her words could have come off as rude, but that was very contrary to what she intended. We'll be working together going forward. I look forward to seeing your work. I work as a secretary for the student council, so I assume we'll be working together more closely due to your own position. It's a pleasure to meet you, Tachibana-senpai. I too look forward to working together with you, President Horikita, and the other members of the student council. I will strive to meet the expectations placed upon me as a member of both this school and the student council. I'd appreciate your guidance as my senior in the areas I am lacking. Once again, I look forward to working together. Giving a slight bow as a sign of respect for my seniors aided in creating a good first impression. I would be working with her and the student council as a whole. That meant a good impression would help in the long run. Some that Kyo is awful at. Intentionally. I must admit I had reservations about you, Nava-kun, but now I can see that they were unfounded. I was worried you may have been an arrogant or rude kohai who thought too highly of themselves, but it seems I was wrong. I truly look forward to working with you. Please, if it's not too much trouble, just call me Rimuru, senpai. I respond better to my given name, but if that isn't possible, please don't worry about using honorifics. You're my senior and a fellow member of the student council, When we aren't on official business or in a meeting of some sort, such inflections and formalities are not necessary. I'll keep that in mind, but for now we should plan when you are to give a speech during the fair. Waving off my words, Tachibana-senpai redirected the topic of conversation towards what I assume she and the president were just speaking on. I can give my speech at any point that is most convenient for the both of you and my classmates. Pausing, I altered the inflection of my voice to mimic that of a person who just came to an idea or realization. But if I had to give a recommendation, I would say I could give a speech after the president or yourself. That would leave a good segue as a basic introduction and not make it feel out of place. Unless the both of you have an itinerary you need to follow at the moment and are left with little room to work. Then in that case I have no problems going when I am told. I had a feeling this recommendation of mine was already the plan the president intended to follow, but the reason for opening the conversation was a way to gauge a few things. My confidence, a basic form of decision-making skills, and a primitive way of seeing if I had the skills necessary to lead others. Or the most likely case, that was all in my head and they just wanted to give a share of ideas to see what fits the most with prior plans. That's what I was thinking. We'll have you go after myself, Rimuru. Be prepared. I hope you don't disappoint me. The president agreed with my recommendation, proving to me that he had already thought this whole thing through and made a decision before this conversation even came about. You told me you wanted me to give a small speech introducing myself as the newest member of the student council. Are there any parameters I should be aware of that my speech must adhere to? I already had my speech planned fully out before I entered the gym, but leaving no stone unturned, I figured being clear on my task was for the best. Give a speech befitting of the highest-rated first-year student and newest student council member. Whether that leaves it short and sweet or long and flavorful is up to your own discretion. The president's eyes narrowed as he spoke further. Just make sure not to lose the attention of your audience from their anticipation at viewing the various clubs. I got it now. He was having Tachibana-senpai commence the fair, but soon after it started, once he finished an analysis or a task of some sort, he would enter the stage, after which I myself will come to speak to my fellow first years. Would you like me to speak directly after you or at the end of the club fair? I ask with the intention of knowing whether you expect me to close off the fair, or if you yourself were taking that task. Directly after. Any further questions? No, none. Thank you for entertaining my queries. I aim to impress. Little more needed to be said as we all got to our places. Tachibana-senpai remained on the stage at the back corner. The president took a seat on a purposefully placed chair in the center front of the stage, while I myself stood off to the side and waited for my moment. I had a good laugh when I thought of Kyo being disappointed at the fact that the information I gave him was practically pointless. He should have known my personality by now, but I suppose the random jumps in my persona make it harder to gauge. Despite that, he should always remember to be clear on what he wants when dealing with me. It is fun though, despite the fact I know 99% of his actions are intentional. It still remains an enjoyable experience messing with him from time to time.